Right, now this will tell us. And that's pretty conclusive. Still going. Close. I think he got it down.
How strong is he?
Hello, folks, and welcome back to the Pick and Go Rugby Podcast, brought to you by the TAB. No, I am not Paul Mawate. I am Carl Tiley. Paul is MIA. He's been stood down for a week. So, pity. You've
stood
got
down.
me.
He's been stood down. He told me he was going on a cruise, the punk.
Yeah, look, let's just leave that for HR. No, Paul, he's on a cruise. He's enjoying some time off. And look, we know Paul will enjoy some time off. How's your week been, bro?
Yeah, not too bad. It was actually pretty chill for once. Watched my daughter trial for Ikaroa. And I guess we'll just wait and see what happens from there. But yeah, it was actually nice and relaxing for once rather than having to run around from one sport to the other or one field to the other after the kids.
Nice. Very nice. And third man in today, well, Surly stood down as well. Part-time stand-in, Jeff Wilson stood down.
Yeah.
So we've found someone. He hasn't played any rugby. He hasn't played any international code. But he is Australian. He was a former professional athlete and he loves to punt. So I thought this guy would fit right in. It is former Warrior Blake Ashford. Welcome to the Pick and Go Rugby Podcast.
Thanks, mate. Didn't think I would ever be on a rugby podcast, but here we are. Can't wait to dive into why my Wallabies haven't won the Bledisloe in 22 years and how we can win it maybe next year. But look, mate, thanks for having me once again. It's a bit out of the comfort zone here, but like you said, I tick a lot of boxes, punting. And yeah, maybe play one or two rugby games on the wing. Don't like that tough stuff in the middle, as you would have seen from my other sporting career. But let's get into it, eh?
Let's get into it. Did you play any international rugby as a young in the lower grades?
I didn't play international, but yeah, played at school. Obviously, we had a rugby program, so our league boys sort of dived into that whenever we could. But yeah, Mum never let me play rugby. I know back in the day, that cauliflower ears and getting into the rucks and things, I think you used to be able to use your studs to get the ball out, which, yeah, it wasn't my cup of tea either. So I used to stick to the wing.
And they say rugby league's the toughest sport. All right, we're going to kick this one off with, I should say, I've been listening to the last couple of episodes, so I'll try and keep a similar run sheet, but Paul is a little bit looser than I am. I like to run a tight ship, Pity, so
He definitely is.
We'll kick things off with the question of the week. I believe this is something you guys do every week. And actually, Blake supplied me with this question. So I'll go to you first, Pity. Should the Bledisloe Cup go back to 3 tests?
100%. Can't have I guess one hand on it and not get a crack at lifting it the second time or third time. Not 2 games, yeah, I think. Yeah, I think it's definitely something that they should go back to doing, even if they have to do it on an India tour and on the India tour like we used to. Even though I think that might have been the 4th game sometimes, but it was still something that was pretty good to do. Have 2 cracks at it. If you get the first opportunity and you got one hand on it, it gives you the opportunity to fight for the second opportunity. So yeah, it's been. I was gutted that it was done straight away on the weekend to celebrate, but yeah, definitely something that they should go back to. 3 games.
Did you, in your time, go through? You obviously played 3 games. Were you in the transition to 2 games as well, at the back end?
No, we were 3 games probably till when I retired, really.
Yeah.
I think they've only just recently started doing 2 games, which is pretty stink. I think it's because they can't fit that 3rd game in, but I mean, there was always an opportunity to make it fit. India tour, add an extra game.
Tell you what, they've got a month off coming up. There's a window.
Take it back to Hong Kong or Japan, like a couple previous years. You know, just before they go on the India tour.
I'm guessing, Blake, you want it to be back to best of 3, possibly best of 5 or 7.
Not that many, bro. But I like to even take it away, even on the end of year tour. Like, all the Kiwis and Aussies over in England. If you're going on a northern tour, why not have it over there? But if we are going to keep it to 2 games, I think maybe changing the format to say that you can still win it in the 2 games. Like if the Wallabies came out this week and won by, what would the margin be, 4 points, then they can win it. But say something happened like the All Blacks won on the weekend, how it looked like it was going to happen by 30 points, the second game will still be exciting because, the Wallabies are going to have to try and chase 30 points if they want the Bledisloe. So that way it still makes that second game exciting. You're still going to put your best team, your best foot forward, and you might see that running rugby, I guess, where, we're not kicking, or they're not kicking the ball, they're just keeping it in hand, trying to throw it around, a bit off the cuff sort of style, and you never know what you'll get in those results.
It must be a bit. I saw the post-match interview with Scott Barrett, like, in the Australia, I don't know who the Australian guy was, but he's like, oh, you must be pumped. You just, secured the Bledisloe for another year. And he's like, yeah, but it was a bit shit, wasn't it? Like, you win the Bledisloe, you feel like you're supposed to be pumped up.
Yeah, I think it's because they know that they're bloody got another game that they've got to play. But, like Blake said, if they're going to go to two games, change the format. I mean, we did that with the French, and I remember we played here in Wellington. We beat them, but we lost by 4 or 5 points. I remember we had the ball, and I kicked it out, not knowing that we needed 5 points to secure the trophy. So when they told me after the game, hit me up after the game, I was like, I had no idea. Not my problem. I'm just here to win games. We're not here to freaking worry about points.
Oh.
So I reckon that'll be a good format. If it's going to go down to 2, it has to be down to points.
And tell the players too, though, so they know.
Tell the players.
Yeah, tell them.
Yeah.
So we need to make sure if we've got 4 points that we're chasing, you need to make sure you score a try, not kick it out.
I was doing some research for this pod last night, and I've got a question later on that I wanted to see if it crossed over with your career. So I ended up on your wiki page. No mention of you blowing a trophy to France, but have you seen your wiki page?
No.
You get done dirty, bro. So the Fog final, when you got knocked out, the opening statement says, Pitiwai, who played the Fog final, got knocked out, can't remember the game, but he led in the match-winning try. and that's it. Lost the game, basically.
Well, pretty much happened.
That's tough.
That way.
Sorry,
Not
bro.
that anyone knew it.
Sorry
Not
to
that
bring it
anyone
up.
could see it from the grandstand or anything like that.
No. Okay, so we're all in agreement. Should be 3 tests. Follow up to that, and probably more for you, Pity. Does locking away the Bledisloe Cup, would you define that a successful Rugby Championship campaign? Given where we're at, All Blacks obviously can't win the Rugby Championship. Is it still a success now that we have the Bledisloe?
Nah, not at all. We haven't got the Mandela Cup. That's another trophy that we play with the Springboks, and they're sitting second in the championship, second to last in the championship, third. So I wouldn't say it's a successful campaign just because we've kept the Bledisloe. It would be better if we won a game in South Africa or won the Mandela Cup. But I mean, I wouldn't be happy about that just because they've locked away the Bledisloe. I'm pretty sure they'll be hurting because I'd probably say this will be the worst we've been in the championship ever.
I had a look about this last night as well, and you're not far off. we've got to go back to, I think it was 2017 was the last time we went undefeated. And there's been a couple of, I don't think we've finished any lower than second, which we can still claim second. South Africa win, we win, we'll go ahead of Argentina.
Yeah.
But yeah. What about your view, Blake, from an outsider's perspective? What's your take on the Rugby Championship of the AB so far?
I'm the same as Pity. I think, whenever you have the All Blacks playing off for what is essentially last place, or the spoon bowl in other terms.
Hey.
Yeah, it's what's expected of them at the moment, really, the way rugby is, that they should beat the Wallabies. So that, for me, on the weekend, it was expected. But where they're sitting at the moment, if you look back to the World Cup only a year ago, the two teams in the final are in this Rugby Championship. And quite possibly, in my eyes, they should have won that Rugby World Cup final. We know what happened. But saying that, South Africa seemed to still be dominant and still be on top, even though they lost on the weekend. While the All Blacks, I think, are still tinkering some things, obviously a new coach and some players in there. So I think, they'll be looking forward just to get another win this week, heading in towards that Northern Tour. But definitely, like Pity said, not a successful start to their campaign.
2019, we finished third. We won one, lost one, and drew one. That was the World Cup year. And since then, 4 years in a row, we've won the Rugby Championship.
Oh, that's because it was a short format, that one. Eh? That's right.
Yep.
And we're still third.
Anyway, let's keep going straight into the game. As you said earlier, Blake, it looked like New Zealand, they shot out of the cannon. They scored 2 really quick tries. And it looked like order was restored. We were going to win by 50. We go into Oranges 28-14. A little bit deflated. What'd you make of the first half, Pity?
I think I felt the Wallabies were a bit like the ABs of old. They obviously just weathered the storm in that first half and backed themselves in the second half. And from what I was watching, it looked like the ABs actually got tired in the back end of that game. And the Aussies were the one that actually looked like they were a lot fitter and ready. Could have played for another 5 minutes. But it just obviously just blew the opportunities. They created enough to give themselves the opportunity to win the game, but they just didn't quite capitalise on it. But yeah, I thought the AB started really well. Been known to start slow previous years and obviously have been starting pretty well. But I guess Aussie must have just remember what happened to them against Argentina. Got off to a good start and then just let them back into the game. And it's kind of like they learnt from that and knew that they could grow from that experience against Argentina. So I thought they done amazingly well. Obviously, not the start that they wanted, to be up there early and have a few points on them so early, but they stayed in the fight and they pulled themselves out of it to give themselves a fighting chance.
As a supporter of the Wallabies, Blake, what were you thinking at 14-0 down after about 10 minutes?
Oh, here we go again. No, it's always the look, before there's ever a ball kicked in the Bledisloe, it's my favourite time of the year because you got a new coach in, there's hype around it, and then 14-0 down early. Even the first play was sort of just a simple block play out the back, and they go straight through and score. And then I was a bit worried, but they showed fight. I just think that their set pieces were good. I thought they played really well off them. It was just the pass or the phase after that where they'd knock on and turn over. And you can't do that with a team like the All Blacks because you'd see a lot of the All Blacks tries were off a Wallabies turnover. So, look, I thought they were in the fight. Even at the end there, there's been a lot of talk about the All Blacks dropping off the last 20 minutes of tests. I thought maybe the Caleb Clark, I'm still not a fan of that sin bin. I don't know your guys' thoughts, but going for the intercept, I think if you can go back and look the way the hand is placed or whatever, I thought Caleb Clark went in for the intercept there. Just come off wrong and then got yellow carded. I thought they're a bit hard done by there. That sort of helped the Wallabies get back in the game in the end. But look, 68,000 people there at a core. I thought it was a good, exciting test. And look, I'm hoping that it's as close this next one. But the way the All Blacks have been lately, their second test against the same opposition, they sort of seem to turn up and turn it on. So it was a good first hit out for both teams in that Bledisloe Cup match.
What's your take on the intercept rule?
I never tried anyway, so I was never fast enough, bro. It's all the fast people that have a crack at those. No, I think if you're genuinely having a crack, I mean, it's different if you're slapping it down and if you're actually trying to whack it up with your hand.
Yeah.
I reckon, you should be just an easy penalty, but if it's a genuine attempt, it's one of the shittest rules in our game.
Yeah. He would have known as soon as he had it, he was gone.
Oh,
And
100%.
Like you guys say, it's whether it's up or down. I had a whole career on Wednesday night touch leagues, just spiking balls out of the air for no penalty.
For not being sin bin. We've actually been talking about the game that when we lost Argentina was here in Wellington. This is usually the stadium or field that's not good for the ABs. So Australia might have an opportunity this week if they can get it right to continue with the finish that they had.
Well, I was going to bring that up because usually when the Wallabies do win the first Bledisloe, the ABs always put it at Eden Park the second test. So you're like, oh, we've got no chance. So like now I'm thinking Wellington, maybe there's still a bit of hope that we come away 1-1.
There is a big hope. I was going to wait till we get to the preview of this week, but we might as well talk about it now. They've won,
I think it's 70-something% is the compared to what we have at Eden Park.
yes, but in the last, I wrote it down somewhere here. We've taken too many notes. We've only won one game in our last 7 at the Cake Tin. And that was
Tinny House.
Tinny House. Sorry, Tinny House. Yeah. I wasn't aware of that.
Paulie's new name for the Cake Tin is Tinny House.
And that was against France a few years ago, a game that no one remembers. But there's been... Oh, here we go. Yeah, we haven't had a win in 5 straight, and we've only won 1 in the last 7. Last time we played Australia, 2020, it was 16-all draw. I was there. That was tough. We lost to the British and Irish Lions when Sonny Bill got carded. We lost to Ireland. We've lost to South Africa. We've drawn with South Africa. So 2 draws in that. You might hear a little bit more about the draw later on when we get to some betting. But as you say, Blake, I think it's a big... The Wallabies will be eyeing this one up. And I don't care what Scott Robinson comes out and says, hey, it's not a factor, it's just, not mental, blah, blah, blah. It will be playing on their minds, surely.
Don't ask me, because if it was me, I wouldn't give a shit about it. It's just the game. It'll be just the game, not a omen of myself. It'll be just me getting myself ready for the game that we're about to play on the weekend. But I guess it's the coaches that really actually think about stuff like that. Whereas players, we just focus on the things that we can actually control. Getting ourselves ready during the week, prep-wise, ticking all the boxes to make sure that we're nice and prepped so that when we go to captain's run, we're not last minute trying to figure out what the we're doing. That everything's just pretty natural, and then when it comes to game day, we pretty much clear and we just play rugby, as opposed to trying to think about, oh yeah, this is what we're doing. What am I supposed to be doing? Oh yeah, that's what I'm doing. So I don't think as players we don't really think about stuff like that. We think about getting our role right and nailing our jobs to help the team out. So I think that's more down to the pressures towards the staff the management more than the players, because that's stuff we don't even, like when I was playing, I didn't even think about Wellington being one of the places that we always lose games at. It was just go out there week in, week out, compete, and make sure we freaking get the job done. If you don't, back to the drawing board.
That's why I never made it, clearly. Thinking about too much. Just going back to the game, you mentioned before, Blake, new coach, and I thought the first Australian try when McWright got the ball from what I thought in live play was an overthrow on the line out. Clearly not. Set play that had Schmidt's hands all over it. It was pretty good to watch, Blake.
Yeah, it was, and that's what I said. Like a lot of the set pieces, they looked, I don't know, I wouldn't say well rehearsed, but like they've been nailing them at practice, and getting out there and doing it is another thing. But it looked well. Like a couple of times their set pieces come off. It was just, like I said, that phase after or that pass after that will go to ground. And I don't know too much about just Schmidt, but you guys might. But he's obviously been with the ABs and Ireland and the likes. But I was watching him after the game. And, mate, he had a smile on his face, and he was happy talking to the players. He looks like he's a real relatable person with the players, which is what I always liked as a coach anyway, someone that got you, or someone that, wasn't like a hard figure. He's someone you could talk to. So he was he looked like he was in good spirits after the game, and was quite happy with things he saw, knowing that it's a building stage. And, it's definitely got me excited as a Wallabies fan. Hoping there is some light at the end of the tunnel. Might cycle back to the John Eales and Gregan days. Might bring some love back to it.
It was the last time they won. It was at the stadium too, the Bledisloe Cup, right? And John Eales kicked the sideline conversion.
It was.
I cried after that.
To be fair, I'd never really watched rugby much, but I remember that. That's one thing I do remember.
That was tough.
Yeah.
Cortez Ratima, he was on fire in that first half.
Especially that hit that he put on Kurabeti.
Yeah. Just about broke his shoulder.
Especially when, I reckon, because he's a bloody ball of concrete, Kurabeti. Every time he goes to make tackle on people, he bloody smashes them or bumps them off and things like that. So, he was huge. Obviously would have been a bit gutted about the disallowed try. That was pretty well worked between the interplay between backs and also the forwards with Cody Taylor down that left edge. But yeah, he was huge. Thought his delivery was good. Getting to the breakdown was good, and in the right places too. The old fat man stroke up the middle there. Trying to get to the breakdown fast. If not, there's an opportunity for him to get a pass and get a few tries, which is what we saw on the weekend. But no, he's been huge.
You think he's taken that number one spot by the scruff of the neck now?
I think there's still a few learnings for him, but at the stage, I think he's definitely been pushing TJ, and I know TJ is quite competitive, and TJ will definitely be pushing hard and nipping at the young fella's heels. But I think he'd be there or thereabouts.
I thought TJ came on and played a very physical role. He was huge, and particularly defense.
Loves a bit of physicality, old Tej. Something that wasn't my strong point, the old tackling. Ask Robbie Fraud. But I think he's nailed that role as a energized bunny coming onto the field because he's been used to it before. When he gets his starts, he does a great job, but he's been used to coming on and adding good value to the team. So that physicality around defence, I think he made about 2 or 3 tackles in a space of 30 seconds, I think. Knowing that he's got to try and encourage the boys and bring more energy to the team. So little things like that can always, fizz the boys up. I think half of it too is thinking our props are out there for quite a long time. I think Tyrell was out there for 65, almost 70 minutes on an international stage. Sometimes you start wondering what the hell's going on here. Why are we keeping our props on for that long? When we've got that rule of the extra sub, which most teams have 3 front rows. So yeah, that was something that was kind of outrageous that they're doing with Tyrell.
I laughed at Ethan de Groot's chase of McWright in that first try. Man could not have gone backwards more fast. He was in quicksand. Blake, as a former outside back, a couple of other sort of bright spots I had for the ABs in particular, Caleb Clark and Will Jordan.
Caleb Clark,
Huge.
man, I was lucky enough to see him this year. He still goes over to Roger's house and they train together. Obviously, their connection from the Blues, and seeing him in the preseason, seeing his body transform from holding a bit of luggage, big old Caleb, and now just trimming down and seeing him, training and actually putting in those extra efforts. I can't say. Myself, I don't know about you, Petty. That was never my forte. I never liked the off season. That was to eat and have a little party. But Caleb Block, to see him now, obviously, that's why he's now, in my eyes, he can be the best winger in the world. The way he can carry the ball and just bulldoze players, I think he's outstanding, man. And it shows the effort he's put in the off season and carried into Super Rugby this year. But Will Jordan as well got his shot at the back again, and he is one of my favourite players. Obviously had an injury last year, and coming off that this year, I thought he finally got his shot on the weekend and proved why he still deserves to be in that starting 15.
Do you think he holds the 15 spot?
Watching him, because he was a last minute change, and obviously during the week he had obviously done his homework, making sure that he nailed his role, so that if something like this does happen, he's pretty much back in there. But I still think he's got a bit of growing to do. I know he's sort of hasn't played a huge amount of footy. He's still it seems like he has been, but he's actually still fresh from his injuries and still trying to find his feet with more game time. I think that he can definitely nail that role at the back as our starting 15. But yeah, touch on Caleb too, like not only his physicality when he's got the ball, but his aerial game's huge.
Oh, so good.
I don't know why we didn't stay with him the second test against the Springboks, because his aerial game was like one of our top wingers that can actually go up. His hops are pretty good too, so he can actually go and fetch the ball up in the air. And then obviously his pace, it feels like he's done exactly what he done when he made the sevens team. Stripped all his hinu, and now we've just got this package of an explosive athlete that can run through a brick wall. I mean, because he made a couple of good breaks on the weekend too, and they went through backs. There were a couple of forwards as well. But if we can get him involved more and more in the game, popping up from where he's not supposed to be, other than just his wing, I think utilizing that as a strike power and weapon, a bit more around phase play and things like that would be awesome.
I'm not sure someone mentioned this to me on the weekend, that him and Willie Warbrook, when they're in the sevens camp, did a lot of like bomb aerial training and for catching bombs and stuff in high ball. And then when he went to the Rabbitohs training, was it earlier this year, pre-season? Yep. That he was focusing on the same thing. And it was, he doesn't look like he should be able to get up as high as he does.
Nah, he's got massive hops. It might be that motor that he's got that's at the back there, his ass. Fucking in those thighs of his, Jesus. There's all that power right there.
Yeah. All right, just quickly before we move on, I had a look at the All Blacks try scorers. There are a couple that are moving sort of into the top 10 all-time try scorers. Rico Ioane scored a try. He was already in the top 10, but now he moves to 8th, equal all-time with 37. Do you know who he's tied with, Petty or Blake?
Yeah, you're asking the wrong person, bro.
Who, Rico?
Yeah.
I was assuming Will Jordan. But...
He is tied with the great man Jonah Lomu on 37. Will Jordan has 34 tries in 36 games. 36 test matches, I should say.
Why are you bringing out tries? I never scored many, so I will never... I never counted how many I scored because they were rare.
Shall we have a look?
No, don't. No, don't. I think it was only single figures.
So Will Jordan, he's scoring at 0.94 tries per match, nearly one a game. The best so far in the top 10 for the All Blacks is the bus, Julian Sevilla, 46 and 51 tests, 0.85. And the next best, one of my childhood heroes and pick and go guest, Goldie, 44 and 60, 0.73. Not bad.
Could have been more.
Could have been more.
Yeah, Goldie could have. Yeah, is that one that?
If not for Cully.
I was just thinking more. Gregan.
Sure. Wow. I'm going to go
Do
there.
they play more
He
tests?
has had a stab at me before, and I had to put him right with the Gregan one.
What were you going to say, Blake?
I was just going to say, do they play more tests now than they used to?
Yeah.
Say 10 years ago, 20 years ago?
I say that. They do, don't they?
Calendar for the AB is usually about 12, maybe 13. Depends on if they put an extra one, a random one, like they did over in America or Fiji. But yeah, it's roughly around 12-ish. I don't know what, but that's tests. I don't know if you add something like a game against Munster.
Yeah.
Which isn't a test, but that's an actual game.
Yeah.
Or even if they play against the Barbars.
I'm trying to find. I'm scrambling here to try and find how many tries you scored. Oh, I
Or he
found it.
doesn't have a computer in front of him. Does he usually? Mawari.
He does, but
He does, but he doesn't know how to turn it on.
he doesn't know how to use it properly.
All right. Do you know how many tries you scored?
No. I told you I never counted because they were very rare.
Have a guess. You were
I'll
right
get
in
double
saying single
figures.
figures.
Yeah, it'd be about
Oh, single.
6?
No. 8.
No, wasn't too far.
8 and 73.
Oh, didn't have to say the amount of games.
Look, you weren't. You weren't
That'll
there.
be a ratio of 100 point.
Look, you weren't there to score tries.
No, it wasn't.
You were there to pass the ball,
Pretty much.
like at elite level passing.
Belts passing.
Bounce passing. All right, before we preview this week's game, we're all over the show, but we should mention that Argentina beat South Africa
Yeah.
29-28 for the first time in their history. They've now beaten all 3 Rugby Championship teams in the same season, which is huge for the Argentinians. They're down 17-0 and then scored 26 unanswered points to lead 26-22 at half-time. Yeah, it was. I didn't watch the whole game. I saw the end of it, and I was a little bit surprised.
Well, I was surprised too, but after watching them, the result against Australia, I felt like they were actually slowly building on something. They probably won't play as good this weekend against South Africa, but it's still good to see that they've actually still got good. They're playing good code. But not only that, I'm trying to think who their assistant coach is. That's their attack coach, who's a Kiwi. Oh, it's not Blindale. I was trying to figure out, but apparently I'm yet to watch the full game, But apparently the tech shape was amazing. It's
A lot
totally
of
different to
out
what
the
they
back,
used
a
to.
lot of block
Yeah.
play, a lot of like sort of 2-man block play. That was, yeah. That winger, Karajas, he's fast, man. Very fast.
They should bring back that old race where you get the fastest from every team, like they did in the NRL, and do the same thing with all our international teams. 100-meter
Yeah.
sprint to find out the out and out fastest rugby player.
That would be
Did
mean.
Did a peak Blake Ashford ever take part in that?
No way. No. I was lucky to beat the forwards, let alone any backs.
You were pretty quick out there in the early stages of your career.
Oh, thanks, mate. It's a long time ago now. It's hard to remember any sort of pace that was there.
Ashford and Carney. Carney and Ashford. One of the
You're on
great calls. Okay. Let's go this week. New Zealand are $1.06. Australia are $7, Blake. The point start is New Zealand are 18.5-point favourites. And the total points margin is 55.5. Blake, 18.5 points seems like a lot, especially given how New Zealand have been playing this Rugby Championship.
Yeah, look, and like I said before, even after their loss to Argentina or their loss to South Africa in those first test matches, they sort of always seem to bounce back in that second one. So you'd think they'd bounce back in a big way. Also, you know, the Wallabies clawed back a lot of points at the end of that game with the All Blacks down to 13 or 14 players. My only question around this game is how do both teams attack it? Because obviously Bledisloe Cup's gone. It's really a nothing game. They can't win the championship. So do they look to maybe finalise a team heading into a Northern Tour where they want to go and dominate in Northern Hemisphere? That would be my thing. How many changes do we see? Is it just the unforced? Is it just the forced changes, like possibly a Geordie out, Bowden back in, or even on the Wallaby side, like how many changes did they make looking towards a Northern Tour? So 18.5 is always a big start, I think, in a Test match when you've really got the best of the best from both teams. It's just what teams they end up playing. But I will be on the 18.5 start with a bit of pride.
Where do you land when you look at the spread that big?
I guess if I was thinking more about the game, it'll be more: do we roll the same team out and just continue working on momentum, building relationships with combinations and stuff like that, or there is opportunities to actually give boys that haven't had a lot of game time, that potentially need a bit more game time to help with their time spent at that level, at international level.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a tough one because you want the boys just to go out there and win, no matter what. But at the same time, it's like you don't really understand what the coaches are going to get up to and with their selection processes, and obviously boys are putting their hands up in the NPC as well, but they've got a bit of time to, look at other options. I know this is a building year, and potentially next year as well, leading up to the 4-year cycle. So it'll be whether they decide to develop now and give some of these boys a bit more of an opportunity, or whether they still continue with the way that they've been playing, but just trying to get better. So yeah, it's a difficult one. Like, plus then there's the factor that we keep talking about, that this isn't a safe haven for the for the ABs down here and at the Tinny House. But I guess it just depends how it's all about the preparation. I think Aussie's probably been hard done by with the $7. I thought that the way that they clawed their way back into the game, it might have been because it was down to 13 players, but I thought that they still done pretty well to adjust and actually try and claw their way back into the game. So I still think after we Paulie brought up that last time the ABs played down here against Argentina, this might be one that the Wallabies might actually target.
Who comes in for Geordie? In your
I'd probably
opinion?
say you'd have to keep him in there.
Geordie Barrett? I think he's got an MCL.
Oh, for Geordie, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. Ooh. Well, obviously, Anton
Leonard Brown comes straight in.
potentially, or even Proctor.
Mm.
Give Proctor an opportunity. It's a big occasion as well, and I guess it'll be a good opportunity to see what he's like. Can't really gauge against Fiji until you play one of the top tier nations like the Wallabies, or even South Africa and Argentina. But I'd probably say give Proctor a bit of give him a crack and see what the combination goes with Rico.
Blake Pitty mentioned this is a building year for the All Blacks. Not something I don't think we've ever heard around the All Blacks that much in the past. As an Australian fan, where you've probably heard that a lot recently, how does that make you feel?
Look, I think it's common sense, really. I think obviously the ABs get a lot of criticism, especially when they just lose one game, let alone anything, or don't play up and beat teams by 20. There's always questions that get asked, but that's because of the dominance over so many years. But look, I think for most teams, you'd think it'd be building stages. Like Scott Robinson's first year in the coaching seat, same as Joe Smith on the Wallaby side. I think to ask too much of them at the moment, everyone will be happy with a World Cup win. It's how do you get there? And this is probably that first year, like Pitty said, you got to try and figure out your combinations, especially before you go over and play the best teams in the world over in the Northern Hemisphere. So, like I said, mate, I'm happy to still be in the building stages and light at the end of the tunnel for me at the moment.
Sam Cane likely to get his 100th cap this week and become the 13th All Black in history to do so. It's pretty big achievement for Cane, considering his injury woes he's had in the past.
Not only that, him actually saying that he was going to step down from international footy altogether and then get an opportunity to come back. Not get involved in the first test, but then sort of be introduced in the second and then followed on ever since. So
He's been great.
he's been huge.
Yeah.
I think his work off the balls are huge, and then sort of disrupting things at the breakdown. I think it's not only that. I think it's the fact that him and Ardy and even Wallace, sort of the three of them together, actually go and look for ball. And I don't think I think we might have missed that at the start of the season, but now I think it's actually good that we've got a loose forward trio that's actually willing to disrupt things, slow things down for opposition as much as possible, or just even when he's got ball in hand as well. Sammy's been huge. Wallace had a huge game on the weekend too.
He's great too.
And then Ardy just does what Ardy does best. Just play footy and screams to motivate himself to get that extra metre or two. And the boys, you can see the boys are like, oh yeah, I better get up there and help the bro up. But it's just I think they like to work through actions as opposed to the way that they speak. It's more showing leading the way by their actions. And if Sammy gets the opportunity to get his 100th, it'll be huge and well deserved.
Yeah,
it's crazy to think he was only playing in the local comp here like a month and a half ago. Like, had a couple of mates play against him for Greerton versus Tauranga, and you're like up against the All Black who'd retired from Test rugby. Now you're talking about maybe a 100th game. Man, it's crazy how I think that works out.
Still hope for you yet, Blake.
Oh, no, bro. Me and Pity come back tour.
I need to drop about 30 kilos for that to happen, and make sure my joints don't bloody seize up while running around.
Question about Artie, which you may or may not know the answer to, but I heard this a few years ago that when I think it was when he first came into the AB system, that, you know, like he's all gas, no brake, like he's always going, and then whenever he stops, there's a break in play, and the camera pans to him, you see him, his hands on hips or he's over his head, and he looks like he's about to puke his guts out, and he's breathing and huffing and puffing. And the story was that, I can't remember what team it was, but someone in the team was like, hey man, like, can you just, in between stoppages, don't look like you're so tired. Like, it's not a good look for us.
Oh, geez, I haven't heard that one.
No, okay. I might have made that up.
Was that him doing too much at club rugby, or?
I don't know. Like, it was kind of like, you look too tired, you're making everyone else look bad. Like,
Oh,
the next time next time you go camera pans to him at a stoppage, he'll have hands on his hips or on his head, and he'll look like he's done.
Oh, if you actually watch him live, rather than watching the whole game, if you actually just watch Artie and what he does, he's real quick to sort of like try and recover. I guess that's through his sevens background. You're doing repeated speed stuff, so you've got to recover as quick as possible so that you can actually take off again. So I think he's sort of just tried to maintain that any little efforts, whether it be short or long distance, that he recovers a lot quicker than most of us would. And so I think for him is just trying to make sure that when he does that, he's not trying to overdo everything and focus on his job. And sometimes, if he sees an opportunity, because I know with him in all our loose for especially our sevens, they actually calculate what breakdowns are actually ones that are vulnerable. And so when you're sort of at that level and you can calculate it or, understand which ones are going to be a breakdown where you can actually have a crack at going over and grabbing the ball, those boys don't just randomly pick rucks or chase ball to grab it. They've actually sort of got it calculated in their head that, okay, this is the fifth one. I think the next one's a good opportunity for me actually to have a crack. Not only that, seeing what's the boys that are carrying and who's going to clean out. So, I think, he always tries to make sure he's well recovered. In those stoppages, I don't know. I look tired every time too. Hands on hoopy. I was just lucky I had a couple of mates that I could go, bro, I need you to just grab an ankle, stay down. And anyone in the front row will happily do that.
Quick one before we move on. When I was, as I said earlier, I was researching the Wellington tests last night, and one that will stick in my mind forever, that this is where I got to your wiki page, but you were involved in this game, so I'd love to know if you remember this or not. It was against France in 2009, 20th of June, cold, wet, windy, freezing cold. During the anthem, a rooster was chucked onto the field and ran loose, and it was ran past the French team as their anthem finished up, and was running all around the sides in front of you guys when the New Zealand anthem was on, and the security guards were having a hell of a time trying to catch this rooster. Do you remember that?
I remember a few incidents where the French supporters.
So that night there were two roosters actually, and they were just the guys that threw it over the fence were just in front of me and my mates.
I want to know how they got it in.
So do I.
It's like, oh my God, because you get checked anyway. Like they check your bags and everything. Unless
he had a long coat on and he had it tucked in the coat.
I do remember that. In my head, I was thinking, how the hell did you manage to get that into the stadium?
It didn't break your focus during the anthem at all?
I thought it was quite hilarious, actually.
It's good. It's good watching.
I actually thought the French were doing that. I thought one of the management might have had one hidden under their thing and just chucked it out on the.
Yeah, come to think of it, he did have a media pass on, an all access pass. No, that was funny. There's some good YouTube footage on YouTube. It's someone with an old, what looks like a flip phone camera, filming it. 2009.
Oh, let me hear. Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Anything
hilarious? Just trying to figure out if you're the person trying to get it in there, you're like, how the hell are we going to get this and keep this rooster quiet?
Anything like that happen in your career, Blake?
Nah, just naked guys running on the field. Don't know why there was never any naked women. It's always naked guys. That was about it.
Did you have any streakers in any games you can remember?
Earlier on, I think most of the time it was down in Dunedin. There was one in Hamilton as well. But I'm sure that was all because of Mark Ellis.
Yes.
Paying for the fine.
He did, yeah.
For everyone that would streak it in a game, a test match.
Was that one of the games where Martin Onu absolutely smashed the streaker?
Oh. Yeah, I think it was too. I've actually been in 2 games where that's happened. One here and one in the UK. One of our boys seen a streaker and absolutely folded him. I was like, oh. He's like the worst guy to hit because he's a hitman. This guy, he folded this guy and I'm like, oh, you poor dude.
Oh dear. Not for me. Anyway, look, we're running over here.
You're running the cutter here.
I know, not very well. We never did run the cutter very well. Real quick, NPC, a couple of games I just want your kind of thoughts on. I'm an Otago man. They're taking on Tasman at home this week. Tasman looking to go 8 in a row, I believe. Otago $2.10, Tasman $1.67. Tasman only 2.5 point favourites, which I was a little bit surprised about. Otago coming off a win versus Manawatu. But to me, this one feels like there should be a lot of points. Total points line is only 55.5. They are under the roof. In the last 4 games there this season, 52, 57, 50, and 60 points scored. What are your thoughts on this game?
I think this might be a game where Tasman might actually throw the game. By resting, because this is their Storm week. And they've got Auckland and then Taranaki as their last game, Shield Challenge. I wouldn't say throw the game, but like rest key players, just so that they can try and lock up the Ranfurly Shield with their 2 defences against Auckland and Taranaki. So I'd probably say that Otago might get the opportunity to get another win this week, purely because I think that Tasman are trying to rest a few key players so that they can defend the
ahead
Shield. Yeah, so it's a tough one. I don't know if the bookies thought about Storm Week and the Marcos having to play up against 2 quality teams against Auckland and Taranaki. So I think Otago might get an opportunity here.
Blake, did Storm Week come into your calculations for this game?
Yeah, it did. And also another thing, I think, looking at Otago, they start fast. I think they've led 5 games at halftime. Only won 3 games all year, but they've led 5 at halftime, drawn 1. So there's a little sneaky bet there, first half result. If you think, they might fall away at the end, $2 to be leading at halftime. So they do like to start fast, and they're a tough team. And I'm with Petty. I think the same as like Auckland will probably rest this week as well, for them trying to get the Ranfurly Shield 4 days after their fixture. So I think Tasman will rest a lot of players, and whether you want them at halftime or you want them with the win, I think you're getting a good price for Otago.
See, that's why we brought him on. He loves the punt. He finds little nuggets like this for the punters.
Yeah, don't ask me. I have no idea. I just guess.
I don't know.
You get a better result.
Yeah, you guys are flying in terms of the overall season punting.
Look, Paul, you can't calculate Paulies because half of those are me and Surly bloody telling him to pick players.
Mm.
And then he's come through, and then it was all of a sudden, yeah, I'm back up. I'm leading the charge. And, and we're like, bro, you didn't even pick him. We're the ones that told you to pick him. Bloody hell. But he'll claim everything, though.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's told you guys, but on our other podcast, our rugby league podcast, he's down. He's minus about $1,000 for the season.
Good
to
know that.
And while we're taking shots, or I'm taking shots, on the racing podcast, the leg up, he's also down $1 million. So give him his little win. Let him have it.
No, that would be why he's so animated about it.
He said, tough go of it, old Paulie. The other game, Blake, I'll come to you first. Hawke's Bay, $2.05, Auckland, $1.72. Auckland, 1.5 point favourites. The total points line, 58.5. Hawke's Bay have lost 3 on the trot, while Auckland have won 3 on the bounce. You reckon Auckland are going to rest some players?
I think they will. I think if you ever got a shot at winning the Ranfurly Shield, you always will rest some players. So, look, I think a kiddo will probably be rested. Hauiti Parapara, the number 9, who's been exceptional, man. I think he might get rested too. I think they might rest a couple of players to really have a tilt at Tasman 4 days after this fixture. But look, it's tough going for Hawke's Bay. Obviously, the way they've lost their last 2, but I'm leaning towards a Hawke's Bay win and possibly 13 plus at $4.80. I think when they've played at home this year and won, which I think they will do, they've won in a 13 plus margin. So, Hawke's Bay at $2 to win, or $4.80 13 plus against what I believe will be a rested Auckland team.
Auckland are sitting 9th on the ladder. Do you look at it the other way, Pity? Are they a chance of sneaking in to the playoffs?
I think we calculated it that if you get 5 wins, you should be there or thereabouts in terms of being in the playoffs. Obviously, they're sort of still working. Like if you look at Harbour's only won 2 games, but they're actually ahead of them on the points table.
Yep.
But I mean, if you can get at least win 5 games, that gives you a easy opportunity to be in the top 8. But
so they'd have to, if they win out, they'll get 6.
Well, what would mean more to them? Do you think a Ranfurly Shield holding that, or?
Well, I don't know about holding it.
Yeah, well,
because they play the Bay of Plenty the following week if they win it, and then Bot might have the opportunity to take it home.
Yeah,
and the way that they've been playing,
yep, good.
It's. But I'm pretty excited about this because it could potentially move around before it even gets locked away for the summer.
How do you see this game between Auckland and Hawke's Bay going?
I'd probably say Auckland will have. This will be a chance for them to actually still get themselves into the top 8. So they'll have to throw the kitchen sink against the team that's probably still got the old blues from losing.
Lost 3 in a row.
Yep. So they're probably still trying to figure out what the hell's going on, and but it's not easy to go to Hawke's Bay and win. It's always tough, and so Auckland's just got to go with their best team. I mean, I guess we'll find out whether Plum will get another opportunity or if he'll get released. If not, he gets that opportunity to hopefully lace up on the Wednesday for the challenge. But I think Auckland need to win this game to give them an opportunity to be considered in the top 8.
Yep. Right, before we get to some betting and look to wrap this thing up, I'm going to open the floor, fellas. Does anyone have a hunch they would like to share this week? He's shaking his head next to me.
Bro, I don't do hunches anymore. I did my one hunch and that was it.
Yeah, bro, I was one and done. 1 from 1, hang the hunch hat up.
Okay.
You can be poorly this week, though.
I've got a hunch. And it's going to lead straight into my first bet too. Now, we were talking about the results at the Tinny House of late, and two times in the last 7 matches, the All Blacks have drawn 16-all, one with Australia, one with South Africa, and back-to-back games, in fact, at the Tinny House, or the Cake Tin. So my hunch is, all it is based on those previous results. I think there was going to be a draw in Wellington this week between the All Blacks and the Wallabies, and I'm not overly proud to say it because I love watching the All Blacks and I love watching the All Blacks win, but I think there will be a draw, and it will just kind of sum up the All Blacks Rugby Championship season in 2024, and that's it. That's my hunch. It is paying $26. I can see you running, scrambling to see what it's paying. Pity. It's paying $26. And as my first bet on the Pick and Go podcast for the year, I'm going to put $25 on that at $26. That would return $650 if it comes off.
So are you going straight for the lead then? You trying to?
Yeah, I am. Yep. And I've got another bet, little 2-leg multi. I'm taking Auckland head-to-head at $1.72, and the overs in the Otago Tasman game, over 55.5. 75 on that at $3.26 to return $245.10.
Nice.
Those are my 2 bets and my hunch, all compiled into one. Blake, what have you got?
I've got 2 bets as well. From the Rugby Championship, I've got obviously the Aussies plus 18.5. South Africa to win 13 plus. Taranaki just head to head, and my Bay of Plenty Steamers minus 14.5 here at home. Hopefully the sun's out and they get that on. $70 at $5.83. And my other $20 will be going on a Hawke's Bay Otago victory at $4.20. Both upsets in those games we looked at.
Very nice. Pity.
So you said a draw.
Yeah.
Did you mean full-time or half-time? Because there's a huge difference here.
No, I mean full-time draw.
Oh, damn it.
Full-time draw. You can take the half-time draw if you want.
No, I'm actually going to go with like a draw at half-time and then for New Zealand to win.
What's that, mate?
What are we getting for that?
It's 21 huck.
Oi.
$21.
I think it is, if I'm reading it right.
Let's exact half-time double. Is that what you're after?
Draw and then New Zealand to win.
Draw and then New Zealand to win. $21. Wow, wait.
I'll put 50 on that.
Woo.
And then my betting head is I'm going to put the rest on Aussie to win. Only because it's paying good odds.
Wow. A hedge.
Other than that, I want the ABs to win, but I want this bet to win.
Okay. I feel conflicted. I feel like we've just committed a crime, Blake. We've witnessed a crime.
I feel good. I've got one on my side.
We're talking about money here, not results.
Okay.
I want the ABs to actually win, but my money I want. I want to beat Paulie.
Oh, that's what it is.
Pretty much.
Okay.
I just want to beat Paulie so that he doesn't. There's another podcast that he's losing money in.
Okay. Less of a criminal act now that I could see the end goal. That's okay. I'll allow it. All right. That'll do us. In Paulie's notes, there was a last word. What does the last word normally consist of? Does that go to you?
Nah, there's just
wrapping it
plans
up
for the weekend. Really?
No, what are your plans for the week? It's only Tuesday. How do you know what you're doing for the weekend?
Because it's usually rugby involved.
Okay.
And kids sport. But actually this week is actually nice and... Oh, actually I'm going to Japan, so... Actually I'll be in Japan coaching. So that's what I'll be doing. Travelling to Japan and doing coaching clinics over there, building relationships with the Japanese schools and universities, hopefully, and get to hang out with some of the boys that are playing over there.
Nice. Blake, do you know what you're doing this weekend?
Yeah, start off with a game of golf, just at the local, with a couple of the old boys. Then I've got the girls' youth tournament, 16s and 18s for league, and the boys' youth tournament 3 days after that. So that's me for not only the weekend, but the next week. A couple of rounds of golf and a lot of rugby league. So
Who are you playing golf with? Please don't tell me it's with Russ and Benny.
Benny's, I'm playing with Benny, yeah. There's always a few side bets going on there. Always.
Oh, of course there is. My cousin was just up there not long ago. And, he was meant to be going to support his daughter. But he goes off and plays golf with Benny.
Yeah.
Sure you're there for the Ames games also?
It's sort of like when Benny Madalino goes to Wellington. He'll take the kids, give them to his mum and go play 4 or 5 rounds of golf. So
Pretty much, bro. Pretty much.
Good stuff. All right, Blake, thank you for joining us and filling a hole. Done it very well.
thanks, bro. It was good to talk a bit of rugby and sort of give my Wallabies some hope. But I'm looking forward to the weekend. Thanks again, lads. See you soon.
I'm not sure we'll be back, but there was nothing on you or I. I think it's just
Sweet.
well, nothing on you, probably more me. Pity, thank you.
Thanks for
Good
filling
stuff.
in and doing a better job.
You hear that, Paul? To the punters, thank you. Someone will be back next week, probably Pity. Maybe Paul, not sure, to do it all again. Cheers.